The fog hadn't lifted from Willow Creek by Wednesday morning. It hung over the town like a heavy coat, making everything look soft and strange. I sat at my desk, staring at the silver ring I'd found in the woods. Tom's ring, according to Mrs. Harper. It was simple, with that little heart scratched into it, proof he'd been in that creepy stone circle. But why? And where was he now? The phone call from last night kept replaying in my head. You're digging where you shouldn't, Voss. Leave it alone. A threat? Sure. But threats just made me more curious. My name's Elliot Voss, and I don't scare easy. I'm the guy who sees what others miss, patterns, lies, little clues that don't add up. It's not magic, just a sharp mind and a lot of coffee. And right now, my mind was buzzing. Lila and Tom were missing, a faceless man was stalking the woods, and something weird was humming in the air. This wasn't a normal case. This was my kind of fun. The door creaked open, and Clara Evans walked in. She looked tired, her dark hair messy instead of neat like usual. Her green eyes locked on me, and that familiar smirk was back. I liked that smirk. It meant she was annoyed, and probably here to argue. "Morning, sunshine," I said, leaning back in my chair. "Miss me already?" "Hardly," she said, crossing her arms. "I'm here because you're stirring up trouble. Mrs. Harper called me at 6 a.m., crying about her daughter. Said you're her only hope." "She's not wrong," I said, grinning. "Coffee?" Clara sighed. "Fine. But make it quick. We need to talk." I got up and poured her a cup from my hissing coffee machine. It growled like an old dog, but it worked. I handed her the mug, and she took it without a thank you. Typical Clara. "So," I said, sitting back down. "What's on your mind?" "That thing we saw yesterday," she said, her voice low. "In the woods. The man with no face. I can't stop thinking about it." "Me neither," I said. "Tall, black coat, face like a shadow. Not exactly your average wedding crasher." She glared at me. "This isn't funny, Elliot. I checked the police files last night. There've been disappearances in Willow Creek before, 5 in the last 10 years. All near that church. No one ever found them." I raised an eyebrow. "And you didn't tell me this because—" "Because I didn't believe it mattered," she snapped. "Until now. What if you're right? What if this is something else?" "Something else?" I teased. "You mean supernatural? Say it, Clara." "I won't laugh." She groaned. "Fine. Supernatural. Happy now?" "Very," I said, grinning. "Welcome to my world. Now, let's figure out what's next." Before she could answer, my phone rang again. I picked it up, expecting another creepy voice. Instead, it was Henry, the sweaty best man from the diner. "Elliot," he whispered, his voice shaking. "You gotta help me." I saw it again. "Saw what?" I asked, putting the call on speaker so Clara could hear. "That guy. Henry said. The one with no face. He was outside my house last night, just standing there. I swear, I heard him, whispering. Whispering what? I asked, leaning forward. I don't know. Henry said. It wasn't words, not real ones. Just sounds. Like wind, but alive. I'm freaking out, man. Calm down, I said. Where are you now? At home, he said. I locked the doors, but I don't feel safe. Stay put, I told him. We're coming. I hung up and looked at Clara. Road trip? She nodded, already heading for the door. Let's go. Henry lived in a small house on the edge of town, near the woods. The fog was thicker here, curling around the trees like fingers. His place looked normal, peeling paint, a rusty mailbox, but the air felt wrong. Heavy, like it was holding its breath. Clara knocked on the door. Henry. It's Detective Evans. Open up. No answer. I tried the knob. Locked. He's either hiding or gone, I said. Or worse, Clara muttered. She pulled out her gun. Stand back. I stepped aside as she kicked the door. It flew open with a bang, and we went in. The house was dark, curtains drawn tight. The living room was a mess, couch cushions on the floor, a lamp tipped over. No sign of Henry. Henry. I called. You hear? A noise came from the kitchen, a soft thump. Clara nodded at me, and we moved together, quiet and slow. The kitchen was small, with dirty dishes in the sink and a half-eaten sandwich on the counter. And there, by the back door, was Henry. He was on the floor, curled up, staring at nothing. Henry. Clara rushed over, kneeling beside him. Are you okay? He blinked, slow and dazed. It was here, he whispered. Inside. The faceless guy? I asked. He nodded. I heard the whispers again. Then the lights flickered, and it was standing right there. He pointed to the corner of the room. No face, just darkness. It looked at me. I glanced at the corner. Empty now, but the air felt cold there. Did it say anything? No, Henry said. It just watched. Then it was gone. Clara helped him sit up. You're safe now. We're here. Safe. Henry laughed, a shaky sound. You didn't see it. You don't know. I crouched down, meeting his eyes. I saw it too, Henry. In the woods. We're going to stop it. He stared at me. You're crazy. Probably, I said, grinning. But I'm good at this. Trust me. Clara stood, brushing her hands on her jeans. We need to figure out what this thing is, Elliot. It's not just a person. Agreed, I said. And I've got an idea where to start. Where? She asked. The library, I said. Old towns like this always have old stories. Let's see what Willow Creek's hiding. She sighed. You and your hunches. They're never wrong, I said, winking. Come on, partner. I'm not your partner, she snapped. Sure you are, I teased. You just don't know it yet. The Willow Creek Library wasn't much to look at, just a squat brick building with dusty windows and a sign that creaked in the wind. Inside, it smelled like old paper and forgotten time. I liked it. Places like this were full of secrets, and I was in the mood to dig. Clara followed me in, still grumbling about my hunches. She could grumble all she wanted, her being here meant I was winning. Remind me why we're doing this? She asked, scanning the empty room. The librarian, a tiny woman with glasses too big for her face, peeked at us from behind the counter. Because, I said, heading for the history section, that faceless thing isn't new. Henry saw it, we saw it, and I bet it's been around a long time. Old towns have old stories. We just need to find them. Clara sighed. And you think a book's going to tell us how to stop a shadow man? Maybe, I said, grinning. Or maybe it'll tell us what it wants. Either way, we're not chasing it blind. She rolled her eyes but started pulling books off the shelves. I grabbed a stack too, dusty volumes about Willow Creek's past. We sat at a wobbly table, flipping through pages. Most of it was boring: crop records, town founders, a cow that got famous for escaping. But then I found something. Clara, I said, sliding a book toward her. It was an old journal, bound in cracked leather, tucked inside a bigger history book. The writing was faded, but I could make it out. It was dated 1895, signed by someone named Eliza Merrill. The shadows whisper at night, I read aloud. They come from the stones in the woods. No faces, only darkness. They take what they want: people, lives, hope. My brother saw one, and the next day, he was gone. The town says it's a curse. I say it's real. Clara leaned closer, her shoulder brushing mine. That's the stone circle we found. And the faceless thing. Yep, I said. Eliza's brother wasn't the only one. Look. I flipped the page. A list of names, 10 of them, all marked missing after 1895. This thing's been busy. Clara frowned. Why now? Why Lila and Tom? Good question, I said. Maybe weddings make it hungry. Or maybe they saw something they shouldn't have. She glared at me. You're not funny. I'm a little funny, I said, winking. Admit it. Never, she said, but her lips twitched. She pulled the journal closer. There's more. The whispers call to the stones. They want something. Blood, maybe. Or fear. Cheery, I said. So we've got a shadow that likes snacks and scary bedtime stories. Great. Clara ignored me, reading on. I tried to stop it. I went to the stones with salt and iron. It didn't work. It laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Salt and iron, I said, tapping my chin. Old tricks for old things. Didn't work, huh? We'll need something better. Like what? Clara asked. No idea, I said, grinning. But I'll figure it out. I always do. She groaned. You're too confident. And you're too cute when you're mad, I shot back. Her face went red. Focus, Voss. I am, I said. On the case and your blush. She shoved the journal at me. Read something. Be useful. I laughed and kept flipping pages, but my mind was racing. The faceless thing, let's call it a shadow man for now, had a history. It liked the stones, it took people, and it whispered. Lila and Tom fit the pattern. But why them? And why threaten me? The librarian shuffled over, her glasses glinting. You two finding what you need? Maybe, I said. Got any ghost stories about the woods? She froze, then smiled too wide. Oh, just tales. Silly things. Shadows and whispers. No one believes them. I leaned forward. I do. Tell me. Her smile faded. They say the stones are a door. Something comes through, something old. It takes what it likes. Been that way since the town began. A door? Clara asked. To where? Let's go back to the stones, I said, closing the journal. Tonight. See if it shows up again. Clara stared at me. You're crazy. Probably, I said. But you're coming with me, right? She sighed. Fine. But if we die, I'm blaming you. No one knows, the librarian said. No one comes back to say. She shuffled away, leaving us with that cheery thought. I looked at Clara. A door, huh? Maybe Lila and Tom got too close. Or someone opened it, Clara said. But who? Another good question, I said. You're getting good at this. Shut up, she muttered, but she didn't move away. Her shoulder was still close to mine, and I didn't mind one bit. We kept digging through books, but the journal was the best find. It painted a picture, the shadow man wasn't random. It had a purpose. Blood, fear, something else, it wanted more than just a quick grab. And now it was watching us. Henry, me, maybe Clara too. Let's go back to the stones, I said, closing the journal. Tonight. See if it shows up again. Clara stared at me. You're crazy. Probably, I said. But you're coming with me, right? She sighed. Fine. But if we die, I'm blaming you. Fair, I said, grinning. Let's grab some gear first. Salt, iron, maybe a flashlight. Can't hurt. As we left the library, the fog outside seemed thicker, pressing against the windows. I felt eyes on me, not human eyes, but something else. The shadow man was out there, waiting. Good. I liked a challenge. Clara walked beside me, quiet but steady. She didn't have to say it, I knew she was in this as deep as I was. Maybe deeper. And yeah, I liked that too. Night fell over Willow Creek like a heavy blanket, the fog glowing faintly under the streetlights. Clara and I stood outside my office, loading up for our trip to the stone circle. I had a flashlight, a bag of salt from the diner, and an old iron poker I'd found in a junk shop. Clara carried her gun and a skeptical look. She didn't believe in ghost stories, but she was here anyway. That's what I liked about her, she'd fight the dark even if she didn't understand it. "You sure about this?" she asked, zipping her jacket. "Going back to those stones at night sounds like a bad idea." "Bad ideas are my specialty," I said, grinning. "Besides, we've got salt and iron." Eliza's journal said they didn't work, but maybe she used them wrong. Clara sighed. "Or maybe we're walking into a trap." "Maybe," I said, tossing the poker in the air and catching it. "But traps are just puzzles with teeth." "I'm good at puzzles." She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." "And you're adorable when you're worried," I teased. Her face went pink, but she turned away fast. "Let's just get this over with." We drove to the edge of town in her car, the silence between us comfortable but tense. The woods loomed ahead, dark and quiet, the fog weaving through the trees like smoke. I felt that hum again, low, steady, pulling me in. Clara heard it too, I saw her grip tighten on the wheel. "Ready?" I asked as we parked near St. Mary's. "No," she said, but she got out anyway. We grabbed our gear and headed into the woods, the flashlight cutting a thin beam through the mist. The path to the stone circle was familiar now, but it felt different at night, alive, almost. The trees seemed to lean closer, and the air buzzed with something I couldn't name. When we reached the clearing, the stones glowed faintly, like they were soaking up the moonlight. The humming was louder here, vibrating in my bones. Lila's shoe was still in the center, untouched. I stepped into the circle, and the air shifted, colder, heavier. "Elliot," Clara whispered, pointing. "Over there." I turned. At the edge of the clearing, the shadow man stood. Tall, black coat, no face, just that shifting darkness. It didn't move, but I felt it watching. The whispers started then, soft, like wind through dry leaves, but wrong. They crawled into my head, making my skin itch. "Hey!" I shouted, holding up the poker. "You got something to say, say it." The whispers stopped. The shadow man tilted its head, or where its head should have been. Then it stepped forward, slow and deliberate. Clara raised her gun, but I put a hand on her arm. "Wait," I said. "Let's try this first." I grabbed the salt and threw a handful at it. The grains hit the ground, and the shadow man froze. For a second, I thought it worked. Then it laughed, a sharp, shattering sound, like glass breaking in slow motion. The salt scattered, useless. "Told you," Clara muttered. "Worth a shot," I said, grinning. Plan B. The shadow man moved faster now, gliding toward us. I swung the poker, but it passed right through, like hitting smoke. The whispers came back, louder, angrier. I heard words this time, not clear, but enough to catch. "Mine, take, more." "Elliot." Clara yelled. She fired her gun, 3 shots, loud and sharp. The bullets went through it, hitting a tree behind. The shadow man didn't flinch. It was close now, too close. Run! I grabbed her hand, pulling her back. We stumbled out of the circle, the humming fading as we hit the trees. The shadow man stopped at the edge, watching us go. Then it was gone, like it had melted into the fog. We didn't stop until we reached the car, both of us breathing hard. Clara leaned against the hood, glaring at me. That was your brilliant plan? Sort of, I said, catching my breath. We learned something. It's tied to the stones, didn't follow us out. And it talks. Kind of. Great, she said, sarcastic. We're still alive. Barely. You're welcome, I teased, winking. Admit it, you had fun. She groaned, but a smile slipped through. You're insane. And you're still here, I said, stepping closer. Partner. She didn't argue this time. Her eyes met mine, and for a second, the fog and the fear didn't matter. Then she looked away, clearing her throat. Let's get back. We need a real plan. Back at my office, I poured coffee while Clara paced. The shadow man was real, and it wasn't happy. Lila and Tom were still missing, and now it knew we were after it. I didn't mind. Games were more fun with stakes. It said mine, Clara said, stopping. And take more. What does that mean? It's claiming them, I said, sipping my coffee. Lila, Tom, maybe others. The stones are its door, like the librarian said. It's coming through for something. Blood? Fear? Clara asked. Could be, I said. Or something bigger. We need to close that door. How? She asked. No clue, I admitted, grinning. But I'll figure it out. I always do. She sat across from me, taking her coffee. You're too cocky. And you like it, I said. She smirked. Maybe. I laughed. See? Progress. The phone rang, cutting us off. I picked it up, expecting Henry. Instead, it was Mrs. Harper, her voice frantic. Elliot. I found something, Lila's diary. It was under her bed. Read it, I said, putting it on speaker. Tom saw something in the woods, she read. A man with no face. He said it whispered to him, told him to come closer. I laughed, but he was scared. We're going to the church tomorrow to prove it's nothing. That's the day before the wedding, Clara said. Yeah, I said. Tom saw it first. It lured them in. Mrs. Harper sobbed. Please, Elliot. Save her. I will, I promised. Hang tight. I hung up, looking at Clara. It's personal now. That thing picked them. Then we fight back, she said, her jaw set. Together? I asked, grinning. Together, she said. The shadow man was out there, waiting. so were Lila and Tom. The stones were the key, and I'd crack it, because I never lost. And with Clara by my side, I liked my odds even more.